Hello, my name is Bella.
My name's Lillian.
My name is Guadalupe.
And we're our show, and this is our discussion about the labor chapter in the book. Alright. So, obviously it covers a very big timeline. What do you guys think about, like, just general, like, involvement of, like, labor movements and stuff? Like, positive, negative, what do you guys think?
From what I read, it was pretty positive. So obviously there were a lot of negative things like the strikes and massacres. So
Throughout the thing I read, it was more negative in the beginning because the workers would go on strike, but then the boss would be like, they would hire new people or people to go against the strike. But it got more positive to the end when they finally negotiated what they wanted.
I think especially with, like, unions, it kind of just flip-flops every, like, few decades or so. It's like towards, like, you know, colonial times and before the Great Depression, it was, like, pretty negative towards unions, and then once, like, there was a real need for labor, like the war, it started getting more positive. But then there was also the Red Scare, which scared it away. And then, you know, in the 50s to, like, 2000s, it got really, you know, unions were super popular. And then now it's kind of going more, you know, more negative as you know, the workforce is changing. You know, women and younger teenagers are going in, not really big fans of labor. So kind of building off of that, I wanted to definitely mention, like, how has public opinion of unions, like, shifted over time? Because that's, like, one of the main themes of this chapter. What do you guys think?
Well, the public opinion, from my point of view, I saw that, well, there was different kinds, like the boss, for example, the people that paid the workers had horrible opinions on the union because it took time out of their working schedules and money. So I thought their opinion was horrible. But for the people that were working, their opinion on the union, they thought it was a good idea because they wanted money for what they were working for.
I think compensation is a really big thing, depending on, like, you know, the money aspect comes back into it because, you know, it's economics, but, you know, it's the employers having, you know, different control over the money, you know, higher wages typically for unions.
I agree.
Yeah. I think unions are, like, definitely, like, I think it's the biggest thing in the chapter, because, like, there's wages, there's labor disputes, but unions crosses over, like, every single section. Like, it's even in the federal minimum wage when it was talking about unions. So I think that's definitely a good takeaway to learn, especially about unions. But I think unions have been, like, more successful than they have been, you know, not successful. Mostly just because people will do pretty much anything to get, like, ensure their welfare. I think. Could be wrong, but that's just what I took away from it, because it seems like people keep pushing for unions despite, you know, backlash from employers. And so noticing that people just continue through with it even if, you know, they get backlash, I think that's really not inspiring, but just, like, it kind of plays into the notion that, you know, unions are very powerful in some ways.
Yeah. About what you just said?
Like the power of unions.
Yeah. I think the power unions are efficient because they went on strike, but at the same time people find a way to work around it, so they feel invalid about what they just did. How about gender and occupation? Well, it says here, there's a chart here about how lower pay for women.
Because in that chart it shows, like, different occupations and different you know, distributions of by gender. I think a couple of them are pretty equal, like sales, but construction, Jesus Christ, it's heavily male dominated.
But healthcare and support occupation is more female dominated.
Why? What do you think that is?
Well, I don't really know, honestly. I think that women are, because it's much more, how do I say it? It's a better opportunity for them to get more money than construction.
I think it's mostly just because, like, I think just stigmas and, like, what's it called, like, expectations just kind of last throughout, you know, decades, and you see like stereotypical male jobs, stereotypical female jobs. I think it's just kind of out of expectation that people go into like to these kinds of jobs. But I definitely think that there's a lot more male-dominated industries than female-dominated industries, so I think that should have like some kind of like even out maybe. But I think it also comes down to just wages mostly, because wage demands, you know, that's been a big thing too. Why people demand better wages as opposed to other people. Okay, so basically proper compensation for the work people do.
After 2009, with the minimum wage remained fixed at $7.25 per hour, while prices continued to go up.
Yeah, the minimum wage is still $7.25. It's been like over 11 years. It's still that low. Yeah, and it talks about how like that's the minimum wage for everybody, but even then, like service workers, like waitresses, they can get paid like $2-3 an hour because they're expected to live on tips.
I didn't know that.
I know, cause like my friend, she works in Oklahoma, and she's a server, and basically, or it wasn't Oklahoma, I don't remember, but she worked a place for a while before she moved back here, and she was like, yeah, I only get paid like $2-3 an hour by the company, but like they have to pay me in tips, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. Oh,
That is crazy. That makes no sense.
yeah. I definitely think that people should keep demanding better wages,
Yeah.
especially federal, because it's 11 years and no change. And we've seen how the prices go up.
But didn't they say they were gonna raise the minimum wage?
Yeah, but like people keep pushing back because they think it'll make inflation worse, but inflation's already worse. But we have appeared to run out of time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.